as government officials inside Russia and occupied Ukraine continue to censor and restrict social media and news-gathering outlets, a group of Russian anti-war specialists is finding ways to connect with its audience by combining technology with lessons learned from the Soviet underground press era. VOA's Alexei Gorbachev has this report on Samizdat Online.
Gathered in a Manhattan house, this group of tech-savvy activists say all they need to circumvent Russian censors is an internet connection. Their website, Samizdat Online, named after the Soviet-era underground press, can reach audiences inside Russia without users needing a VPN.
The links that we generate are available everywhere. Right? There's nothing specific to the regions. So any place where the internet exists, those links will open and deliver the content that we are proxying.
Russia's media regulator Roskomnadzor has blocked access to Samizdat, but that doesn't stop the team from providing content on the war in Ukraine or human rights issues that authoritarian regimes seek to suppress. Each article has a unique link, rendering attempts to block it futile. Co-founder Michael Sprague says the method reflects how people in Soviet times secretly produced pamphlets. 3 decades after the fall of the Soviet Union, he finds himself explaining those methods to a new generation.
Everything had to be handwritten. Everything had to be passed from person to person to person. And so we basically trained a whole generation of 20-year-olds to understand, there is another way to communicate when you're not quite sure whether you can trust the state or even the media that you're working with.
Samizdat translates roughly 15 articles a day from news sites that it partners with to share reports on the war in Ukraine and human rights abuses in Russia, Belarus, and Iran. But staying one step ahead of censors is tough. Since its invasion of Ukraine, Russia has blocked access to social media platforms and thousands of news websites, including the Russian language services of the VOA. According to Statista, about a fifth of Russians now use a VPN, a spike in use since 2021. It was only a matter of time before the authorities took notice, says Steven Feldstein, a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace.
The most common method is for Russians to use VPNs, virtual private networks, to get around blocks of different platforms or different websites. Now, that in of itself has become very complicated because Russian authorities have also sought to block different VPN providers as well.
Samizdat gets around that with a method that doesn't require VPN. Users simply browse stories, then share unique links with friends via social media, messaging apps, email, or text messages. The work can weigh heavily for the team, many of them who live in exile in North America.
Чувство такой досады, что все-таки
I also feel that I didn't do enough in my place as a journalist to prevent this from happening, even though I have been criticizing Putin and his government since 1999, almost 24 years already at all platforms I worked for.
почти года. И на всех доступных мне площадках.
The site's editor-in-chief, Anna Trubacheva, says translating stories on the war and rights abuses and jailings sometimes becomes too much.
I had a moment the other day when I just couldn't take it, when I just sat and sobbed. Almost every day I read news about people whom I know personally, who were given an incredibly gruesome term.
Samizdat's founders believe tech giants like Google and YouTube could be incorporated into their system. And they have an additional objective to reach Russians who are not actively seeking independent coverage and who lack access to accurate information. From New York, Alexei Gorbachev, VOA News.